Hey there. Hello, how do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling. Yes, it is. It is 1984. It is January the 5th, 1984. Back in Xmas 1983, my lifelong friend Iguana bought me a round trip ticket from New York to Michigan and back. I'm going home to Michigan from the 5th until the 10th of January 1984. What a whirlwind vacation it was. I didn't get any sleep, and we drank and smoked dope the entire time. It was fantastic. We ran around. I went to the theater. You think I remember 1 minute of the play that I saw? Nope. All I remember is that I sat in the front row and I was doing everything I could to keep from falling asleep. I was nodding. It was mortifying. It wasn't that the show was boring, even though it was, but I was just didn't have any sleep for the entire time that I got to Michigan. So, and then I went to this party and to that party. There were all sorts of fun, friendly people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And then we had this huge party at Pibkessel, the legendary Fielding Manor there up in Ferndale at Woodward and 8 Mile neck of the woods. Yes. So Iguana, it was the place where he was living, and he moved in to this very apartment because I had lived there for a few years, and I moved out to move to New York City, and so he took over as the tenant there. Yes. So he's still living in the legendary Pibkessel, and we're going to have a party there at 7 o'clock that night. Fantastic. So we all show up, and Iguana is passed out cold inside the apartment. And we finally get in the apartment because Cabbage Boy, we were banging and banging and banging and banging on the door. And nobody was responding at all. So Cabbage Boy ran around and climbed up the balcony into the upstairs balcony, and the door was unlocked, thank heavens. And he walked in and unlocked the apartment door from the inside. And there was Iguana passed out cold in a comfy chair 4 feet away from the door where we were banging and pounding on the door. So all 5 or 6 of us stood around in a circle and said, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." And he still didn't wake up. Somebody had a pack of matches, and they tossed a pack of matches on him. And after all that screaming, that was what aroused, the sleeping mummy back to life. I was I was tired, he said. All right. Anyhow, it was a fantastic party. We ran around. We didn't throw Cabbage Boy off the balcony. We thought about it, and that would have been funny, but we didn't. And we were up all bloody night and until the morning. It was one of those great parties. And before you know it, this whirlwind of a weekend, if it wasn't for the photographs, I wouldn't know that it happened at all. And then I'm back in New York City. Poof, boom, zip, zam, zowie, and swoosh. I'm back at Vino Veritas on the 11th and on the 12th and on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th of January, 1984. And the night is winding down, and it's just Michael and Gregory and me waiting for closing time, which is about 10 or 15 minutes away. And eventually the phone rings, and it's for me. Well, for a delivery. It's our old buddy Larry Wasserman, who's got the fantastic apartment up on the 22nd floor on 36th Street. Yes. And he would like a gallon of Principato, not a gallon, he would like a magnum of Principato white wine delivered not to his apartment, but to this restaurant. All right. In New York City, there are restaurants that have a limited liquor license, which means that they can serve booze, but they can't sell it. If you bring your own, you're okay. Or if you have it delivered, that's okay. So that's where I come into the story. Larry called up and asked for a magnum of white wine. So Gregory's mad because it's a 10-minute walk. He's down at 74th Street in this restaurant, and it's a 10-minute walk, and it's already 10 minutes to closing. I'm not even going to deliver the wine until closing time, and then it's going to be another 10 plus minutes before I get back. Gregory's ticked off at me and a little bit at Larry Wasserman. Hey, Larry's one of our favorites. It'll be fine. So he bags up the boodle, the booze, and he gives me the change, and off I go. Now we just had a snowstorm in New York, so the streets are all mucky. Sidewalks are pretty clean, but the streets are all mucky. And you know how they get dark with the sludge? Yeah. I've got these fantastic boots. They're these Frankenstein boots. They are the winter boots of all time. Your feet need never know it's cold outside when you've got these boots on. They're waterproof and warm and cozy. They're great. If you accidentally step in a puddle, unless it's tall enough puddle that it overflows, which you better not even try, but they're just waterproof and warm, and they're the greatest boots in the world for the winter. My dad gave them to me before I came to New York City. And here's the thing, they take a long time to lace up and a long time to unlace. You can't just kick them off. Because they're so fancy, you gotta like lace and go through it with a hooch every time. It takes a little while. Anyhow, I eventually get to the restaurant down here on 74th Street. And I go in. The maitre d' is very polite, and he flags down a waiter to get to go to get Larry's attention or something like that. I'm not sure. And he goes and finds Larry, and then Larry sticks his head out of the booth. And I got the bottle of Principato. And so I turn to the maitre d', I thank him, and I start to go to give the bottle to Larry, and the maitre d' says, "Ah!" I'm like, and he points at my shoes, and I'm like, oh, right, of course. It's a Japanese restaurant. It's a cultural thing. Don't be insensitive. Just take your shoes off. So I sit down and I begin to unlace. It takes a little while to get the one boot unlaced, and then drag it off, and then the other one, and unlace it and drag it off. Thank heavens I've got cool socks on. You know, I did have a bunch of cool socks, and I was wearing these maroon optical illusion looking socks. Yes, and they didn't have holes in them or anything. They're very fancy. I know. So you can walk around in these socks in public without being embarrassed. I know. So I walk over to Larry's table, and there are two beautiful women with him, of course. And he says, "Harry, may I present Violet and Rose?" And they're a couple of beautiful girls, and I say, "Hi, may Violet, Rose, meet Harry." And I'm like, "Ladies, it's quite a pleasure. And here's your bottle, sir." And he said, he said, "Harry, can I have you? Can I invite you to join us in a little sip of wine?" Sealing my doom. And I'm like, "Oh, Gregory's gonna murder me with joy at this." But yes, I would be foolish to refuse such hospitality, and equally foolish to refuse such charming company. So I squeeze into the booth, and I'm sitting across from Violet with her beautiful red hair, and Rose got a glorious head of dark hair. They look like a painting. They're so beautiful, both of them. And Larry pours. We got four glasses. We all toast. We sip. Violet meets my eyes as I drink my wine, as I meet hers. I'm crushing on her, of course. And suddenly I find myself on this weird double date with Larry Wasserman and these two unbelievably lovely, charming, brilliant women. They're the brain box. They're working on mitochondrial research or something like that together. I know. So anyhow, we have this fantastic conversation, and it's getting late, and Gregory is going to take a meat cleaver to me if I don't get back there pretty soon. All right. So I say, "All right, Larry, I got to get going." He says, "Harry, here's the thing," and I'm like, "What's the thing, Larry?" He says, "I don't have any cash," and I'm like, "Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it. You know, you'll get it to us." And he said, "Didn't I tell you, girls, he's a prince?" I said, "Yes, that's me, the Prince of Principato." Yeah. Anyhow, so I squeeze out of the booth, and the lighting fixture is in the way, so I can't really kiss Violet's hand or Rose's hand or anything like that. So I just sort of bow, and I'm like, "Well, the pleasure is all mine." And they both say, "My pleasure," And I'm like, "Larry, we'll be in touch." And he's like, "Absolutely, Larry. Harry, thank you very much." And off I go. And I go back to the little benchlet. I put on my boots, lace them back up. Right. Takes a while. And off I go. And as soon as I step outside, it starts snowing. Yeah, there's a little snow squall that's passing apparently right now. So I'm walking back this 10-block walk in a snowstorm. It's snow globe conditions. It's like Rosebud. Yes. And so I finally get up to the booth store again, and I'm covered with snow, and I walk in there. And just as I walk in, Michael is on the phone, and he says, "Bye. Bye. Goodbye." That's all I hear. And he slams down the phone. Crunch. And he says, "Damn." Gregory turns to him and says, "You just don't like phones at all, do you?" And then he turns to me and he says, "Finally, ass bucket, where's my change?" And I said, "Here's the thing." He says, "What?" I said, I'm late because it was a Japanese restaurant and they make you take your shoes off." And he says, "What?" And Michael's like, "What? What?" I said, "Yeah, it's a cultural thing. You can't walk around in your slushy shoes from the snow on the nice rice paper carpet or whatever the hell's going on. So you got to take your shoes off." And I got my Frankenstein boots on, and it takes a long time to unlace them. It took forever. He said, "It didn't take that long." I said, "Well, Larry insisted that I have a glass of wine with it." "You ass bucket, I knew it." And I said, "Well, here's the thing." He says, "What? Where's my change?" He said, "Larry, we didn't have any cash either." And he says, "What?" I said, "It's Larry. He'll get it. He'll get it to us." And he says, "You ass bucket, well, where's my money?" And I give him the change that he'd given me, and he puts it in the cash register. And I said, "Well, I guess there's nothing else I can do, so I'll be going." And he says, "Harry, wait." And I freeze, and I'm like, "Oh, no." And he whispers something to Michael, and Michael says, "Oh, sure, I don't mind. Come on, Harry." Gregory turns to me and says, "Harry, we're going uptown. You're coming with us. We're going to teach you about life." I know. All right. So the life that he's going to tell me about, teach me about, I'm going to tell you about next time. Yes. So here's the thing. Please like it. Please comment. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Please share it out, and please subscribe. All right. Thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you next time. I'm so excited to tell you what happens next. Ah.